Welcome, welcome. We have our team of students here today for the Assuaged um, Public Health Live discussion. And today we're covering the environmental benefits of being a vegan. And I'll let the team have at it.
So, veganism definitely helps the environment. Researchers from the University of Oxford indicate that a vegan diet might be the single biggest way to reduce your environmental impact on the earth. Researchers found that by eliminating meat and dairy products from your diet, it could actually reduce an individual's carbon footprint by up to 73%. So, eating vegan has countless environmental benefits. A vegan diet is effective in cutting your greenhouse gas emissions, preserving habitats and species. It helps to limit pollution caused by the meat industries, and it helps to conserve water. So, all about reducing greenhouse gas emissions. So, a study published in the journal Science revealed that meat and dairy production is responsible for 60% of agriculture's greenhouse gas emissions. So, if you choose to eat meat, your greenhouse emissions is typically twice that of someone on a plant based diet. So, continuing on with reducing greenhouse gas emissions, meat production requires a large amount of energy production. So, fossil fuels have to be burnt constantly in order to grow crops, to feed the animals, to raise the animals, transport them, and unfortunately slaughter the livestock. So, also, along with that, livestock consumes much more protein, water, and calories than they produce. Cornell University finds that in order to produce 1 calorie of food energy from beef, 40 calories of fossil fuel energy is needed. Um, greenhouse gases are also the leading cause of climate change worldwide. So research suggests that if they found that if everyone went vegan, greenhouse emissions contributing to global warming would be cut by 70%. Though this is far-fetched, research suggests that this would stop and reverse the harmful effects of climate change, including rising sea levels, floods, melting glaciers, and droughts.
Eat vegan to stop habitat loss and extinction. Eating animal and dairy products is the largest contributing factor to habitat loss, deforestation, and extinction. Producing meat requires a large amount of land to raise the animals on, and it's estimated that meat products require about 3 times more land than food products made for a vegan diet. Satellite data reveals that every second an area of rainforest the size of a football field is cleared to raise and slaughter animals. Eat vegan to reduce pollution. Animal waste products from the meat industry are polluting our environment and destroying habitats. Pollutant waste is often washed into our water systems, and the nitrogen and phosphorus found in this waste can cause algae to grow on the water, and it starves fish of oxygen. This leads to the creation of dead zones in our water where few species can survive and many die. Gases emitted from animal waste can also cause harm to humans and ozone. Air pollution from waste can cause respiratory issues such as asthma, lung inflammation, and other respiratory issues. Eat vegan to reduce air pollution. Plants produce oxygen and remove toxins from the air. It happens through photosynthesis that plants turn the carbon monoxide we exhale into the oxygen we inhale. All the livestock in the world cause more air pollution than all of the cars, buses, planes, ships, and other forms of transportation combined.
Okay, eating vegan to conserve water. Water scarcity is a severe issue that's not typically talked about. Over 1 billion people are living without access to clean water. Only 2.5% of all water on Earth is fresh water, and only 30% of that is actually available to us, as the rest is all frozen. Much of our water supply goes into raising animals, as animals need water to drink, bathe, cool themselves, and when cleaning their living space. A study comparing the water footprint of a beef burger and soy burger revealed that a soy burger has a water footprint of 158 liters, and a beef burger has a water footprint of 2,350 liters. Veganism helps keep soil clean. Animal agriculture weakens and depletes fertile soil. This is the main cause of worldwide deforestation. Raising plants and trees actually works to reverse the effects of nutrient depletion, nourishing and cleaning the soil for more sustainable agriculture. Eating vegan can help stabilize our oceans as well. Overfishing for food consumption has resulted in an imbalance for the ocean's biodiversity. It causes interruptions in the food chain and ocean's ecosystems as essential predators such as sharks and tuna are overfished. This causes growth in smaller marine life populations, which results in damage to coral reefs and other elements of the ocean's ecosystem. A vegan diet stabilizes our ocean by reducing the world's demand for fish.
So eat vegan to clean waterways. Livestock pollutes waterways with dangerous doses of chemicals, creating these dead zones that we just talked about. 40% of the country's water is not fishable or even swimmable due to animal agriculture growing rapidly. Going vegan will greatly reduce animal waste, hormones, and antibodies that are polluting our waterways. Eat vegan to conserve energy. Livestock requires lots of energy consumption. U.S. agriculture used an estimated 800 trillion British thermal units. Plant-based products have a higher energy efficiency than animal agriculture. Following a vegan diet will reduce energy consumption, thereby benefiting the environment and saving resources. So now it's time to get into a discussion based off today's topic. And we encourage everyone to participate in this discussion by sharing your thoughts and ideas. And we will be reading viewer comments, and our team of students will be discussing these responses as well as adding our thoughts. So for the first question, we want to know, is it environmentally sustainable to become vegan? And the answer is yeah. It's an easier method of production. Research proves that veganism promotes environmental sustainability, and just it's so sustainable because it uses much less water, much less land, much less energy than the meat industry. So, if the more people we get to be vegan, the more sustainable it will be for our environment when we create food products. And if anyone else wants to add to that, feel free.
Yeah, so I think there's so many, elements of being vegan and the environmental benefits that come with it. It's just doing less harm and consuming less of what harms the planet, not necessarily just completely 100% going vegan, but doing as much as you can, doing your part, composting. We do a lot of that. Sometimes when I cut up celery or, radishes, I'll take the end greens and throw them outside. Sometimes the animals will get to it. But it's just kind of having that mindset that plastic is separated from the trash. Even though in a lot of cases, the recycling companies, they don't always recycle everything you put in the recycling bin. But we can only do so much in our part. So in doing all of that, I think it weighs. It really does outweigh with in terms of benefits of a vegan diet. So hopefully that makes sense. Is that 17? So that is me. Discussion number 2, is it easy to adopt veganism? Local environment must have the vegan products available. Critical environmental issues in that region. In some Arctic communities, most plants cannot sustainably grow and must be transported over long distances for consumption, making nutritionally efficient foods like seal meat more sustainable. And I do get that. We watch Seaspiracy, and the families that go out whale hunting once a year. They kind of made a good comparison about how, well, we kill one whale a year for my family to eat, whereas people who are eating chicken are killing 1,000 to 2,000 chickens a year. So those are lives, whereas you're just taking one life in the oceans. And it is harder over there. They don't have greenhouses. They don't have the ability to sustain crops. So, or especially organic foods will spoil a lot faster than your conventional fruits and vegetables. So I would say it's just kind of working with what you have and educating yourself on what, because every region, like even Haiti, they have a lot of moringa plants, and that's a superfood that we have available over here. So they'll use moringa in a lot of sauces and soups and herbal remedies over in Haiti. So not to say that there's not plant based options, but it's just kind of finding out what those are and how you can fit them into your diet. So, does anyone want to add to that?
No, but I agree with you completely. Those people that hunt those whales, they do it out of necessity to eat, and also there's people that hunt seals for the same reason, and very different from the seal hunt that used to happen for furs, which has kind of fallen by the wayside because of activism. Now they can't even sell the seal pelts anymore. So I kind of fought that seal hunt for about 5 years, and with all the millions that did, and now the seal hunters that do it for fur, they can't even find buyers for it anymore, which is great. So, big changes.
Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you. So this leads us to discussion question 3. What can help the transition to veganism? Efficient solutions like mixed farming systems emerge from focusing on the production of food and not the products themselves, making the transition through a positive approach, extending the resources to everyone, building easy recipes with affordable ingredients, innovations to help grow sustainable crops, and accepting people and their choices. Discussion question 4. Is veganism's absolution the solution to environmental sustainability? No, it's rather harmful. Considering sustainable food systems at a focused local level will reveal many complexities that a dietary focus alone will not capture. There are some fundamental complexities of sustainable and ethical dieting. Focusing on production over products is furthermore essential to truly eat ethically.
Okay, so the fifth discussion question is: does culture play a role in the transition? Some families don't want to adopt veganism, and it might impact an individual's choice. Treating vegan food as ethically superior might affect marginalized communities who rely on affordable animal products. Some vegans stigmatize animal products as morally reprehensible, which negatively affects some cultures' traditional consumption practices. I think this is definitely an interesting question, and there are so many avenues that you can go in this discussion. I mean, just looking at our culture alone, I'd say it's very meat based with hamburgers, hot dogs, you name it. Just even at breakfast, you got sausage. I feel like at every meal, you could have meat in our culture. And so it's definitely difficult transitioning. I would say some of my friends have even been shamed for it in the past, like, oh, you're a vegan? Looks like you need a hamburger. So it's definitely difficult in our culture. And the couple questions before we discussed about like the Arctic Circle and how it's impossible or very hard in their culture to grow plants. And I think it's important to remember about those kind of cultures. And even if somebody does live in a culture like ours and they don't have as much money, because the truth is it can be a little bit more expensive to be vegan, I think it's important to remember not to shame somebody because they might not be as nearly as vegan as one other person. I think it's important to remember that everybody is trying one way or another. Does anybody have anything else to add?
Yeah, I think culture is such a fundamental aspect of transitioning because we're all accustomed to certain ways, dietary habits. Many of us have come from the SAD diet, which is the standard American diet. So that consists of, hamburgers and fries, and you're all American food. So that's what I've been accustomed to. Whereas people in different cultures, they have, some in which would consider healthier ways of eating. I know people who come from the Asian background, they have rice as a staple, and there's so many soups that they eat daily, and the Indian lifestyle as well. There's a lot of healing herbs that they put in their foods. Whereas I would say I've noticed Mexican background. One of my best friends is from, she's got a very large Spanish family from Mexico. And they just, they eat a lot of corn products. They eat a lot of beef. And tortillas. And so all of these kind of foods, they're kind of fried. They're really, really fried. So I notice with my friend, especially with her having a disability, I notice that she's prone more to illness, and she seems to be kind of up and down. And I could just imagine. I love Mexican food. I used to eat out at those fast food ones all the time, and it would kill my stomach. And I just got to a point where I couldn't eat those kind of foods anymore. And I always wondered why. And then when we started incorporating vegan, plant-based foods, raw foods, I really started getting a sense, okay, this is what my body wants. My stomach feels good. I feel like mentally equalized, if you will, because you can get really overwhelmed. Foods can contribute to the emotions as well. So I just think there's a deeper understanding to culture and lifestyle in general. So hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah, I totally agree with both you guys, Cynthia and Jessica. I feel like culture really does play a role in someone transitioning to being like a vegan, just because if their family isn't, it might be hard to coordinate to make meals if there's two different meals going on at the same time, especially at family events. I feel like that's always a thing because, especially in my family, most people always bring some type of meat or non-vegan things. So I definitely think that plays a role in someone successfully transitioning to being vegan.
Okay, the sixth discussion question, why is it claimed that eating meat is not sustainable? We have a quote over here from Plant-Based News saying, "It blows your mind that we grow food to feed 70 billion animals a year, only to turn them into food to feed 7 billion people. Meanwhile, almost 1 billion people on Earth go to sleep hungry every night, so eating meat is not sustainable." So I think definitely all of like the slides up to this point have definitely discussed like why is it not sustainable. I mean, when I think of this question, the first thing that comes to my mind is like the poor slaughter of all these animals. And especially watching the Seaspiracy documentary, that was really eye-opening. I was not aware of all the bycatch that these fishing boats were producing, only targeting a couple species, but then killing off all these other species in the process. So that's definitely was one example. And also the water usage, the energy. Does anybody else have any ideas?
I I think you bring about some great points. I just think meat's not sustainable in so many ways because it takes so much more energy, water, and resources just to feed the animals to feed us. I don't think it really makes sense from a logical standpoint, but from a traditional standpoint, people have been raised and accustomed to these ways of eating, and so we have to give it to their credit that they may not really understand or know how to go about being more sustainable in choosing the foods that they eat. And I just think, um, if your food screams at one point, to me, that's a little bit concerning and in ways not sustainable. And I mean, we wouldn't do that to our own people. So I just think we have to kind of account for the spirituality side of sustainability and why eating meat may not be sustainable. And it's just kind of tapping into that inner consciousness and tying your food to the source in which it actually comes from. So hopefully that makes sense. Well, that was a really informative discussion. Our public health live students, Jessica, Dean, Kimberly, you guys are on here. Your names are shown, and you'll be tagged in here. And you guys just do such an amazing job showing up every week. And Indu, she's just remarkable at scheduling these. So thank you guys for all doing your part and for educating the world about a vegan lifestyle. And we will see you guys Friday.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Friday.
Bye, everybody.